Today's video is sponsored by the EXO Juice Card Power Bank, a universal magnetic wireless power bank available now on Indiegogo. Hey, it's Chris, and today we're talking about Apple's new official battery case for the iPhone 11 and the iPhone 11 Pro. Now, I kind of have a love-hate relationship with battery cases in general. On the one hand, it's great having unlimited power. On the other hand, it's not so great having any extra bulk, except in this case, the bulk actually serves a bit of a purpose, and it's kind of got me rethinking the whole thing. Now, this is a battery case, and we're gonna get to the power and all of that stuff in just a minute, but first I wanna talk about the most exciting new feature here, which is something that anybody who takes photos, so literally everybody, can definitely love. So this year's smart battery case looks identical to last year's, and yes, that hump still doesn't look great, except this year it kind of serves a higher purpose. It does something extra, and that's thanks to the new shutter button. Now, I don't know about you, but I've seen several companies selling third-party camera grips for your iPhone, which basically gives you more to hold on to if you're taking a picture, and a wireless shutter button. And that's basically what Apple's smart battery case is this year, and that's what I'm talking about. That battery pack, that extra bulk, and you stick the shutter on top, it actually serves kind of a cool purpose, as opposed to just taking up extra space in your pocket and not really looking so good. So even if your iPhone's asleep, you can hold down the shutter button and it will bring up the camera, which is a lot faster than using the shortcut on your lock screen. So to take a photo, just push it down. But you can also take a video by pressing and holding, which is really cool. Like, how many times have you thought about, hey, that would make a really great picture, but you know in your head, there's no way I'm gonna get the camera out and working and aimed in time to actually capture whatever it is. Well, this is that much faster. Like, it could make a difference in terms of capturing a shot that you might not otherwise get, especially when it comes to video. So with the new iOS, we do have that quick take feature, which lets you hold down on the digital shutter button on your iPhone's screen, and then you'll get a video. But still, this is just like more ergonomically comfortable to just have a dedicated shutter button that can also do that quick take video. Because in the past, you had to hit that shortcut on your home screen, bring up the camera, and then swipe over to video. This is like way better. So another thing I really like about it is that it makes one-handed shooting, whether photo or video, much better. It's just very comfortable to sit there and hold it and get that shutter button right here and take it without having to use two hands, and that goes for horizontal or vertical alignment. And one place where it really comes in clutch is when you're doing either a selfie or a group selfie, because you don't have to mess around with either the on-screen shutter with your thumb or trying to tap one of the volume keys and use that as a shutter shortcut either. It just fits a lot better in your hand for taking photos. So I remember after reviewing last year's model, I was like, it's so bulky, and it had some other issues, which it still has, and I'm gonna talk about in a minute. I was like, I'm not even interested when they come out with one for the iPhone 11 or the 11 Pro. But here it is, and it has a shutter button, and now I'm kind of conflicted because I've been reviewing it for, like the last week, using it, and it's like, I don't want to give up that shutter button now, even if I don't want that extra bulk. All right, so now we can talk about the power. Now, this year's lineup of iPhones already has the best battery life of any iPhone ever, and it's great. And I was pretty happy with it until I started using this case, and it's just super luxurious to have all this power and know you're not gonna run out, especially if you're traveling. This is the perfect accessory to take with you, whether it's like an overnight thing or for a week or some long excursion. It's just peace of mind to know you're not gonna run out of power when you're relying heavily on the GPS and directions, and yeah, taking a lot of photos and video. Now, the actual power boost that you get is supposed to be about 50% more than what you would get with just your naked iPhone. So that's great. One thing that a lot of people don't like is that there's no outer indicator. There's no indicator light on the outside of the case to let you know how much juice is left or when it's getting empty, like you find on some competitors. The thing is, if you take your phone out, there is an indicator light on the inside, but really, Apple intends for you to check the widget on your iPhone to actually see where your power stands. Which actually kind of makes sense because it kind of fits Apple's mentality of minimalism and having things just kind of work without you having to worry about it. And over on the Mac, you can pick up an app which I'll link down below, which will show you all your Apple devices and where the charge is at for everything. Pretty cool. I do have to say, this design is one of the easiest cases to install and take off that I've ever seen for iPhones. You just kind of peel the top down and in it goes, or out it comes, and it's just no big deal. I do want to say be careful when you're installing it, because on last year's model, I actually did something when I was putting it in that broke the lightning connector. It bent it, and from there it was unusable. There was no fixing it. It was just a goner. And this is an expensive thing, so do be careful when you're putting the phone in. Now the Silicone Back feels great. It's like really soft and it's nice, but it's also my least favorite thing about this case for one simple reason. The smart battery case collects more dust faster than a Roomba. Seriously, just putting it in my pocket or setting it down on my desk and picking it back up and looking at it, and it's collected all kinds of like weird Klingons. And so this comes in black, it comes in white, it comes in a light pink, and the black is gonna show like light dust, and the white and the pink are gonna show dark dust. You can't win. I mean, it collects stuff and you notice it, and you feel like you always need to be like cleaning it off kind of. And the white color especially, as you might suspect, is really easy to get dirty. It was just sitting on my desk for about a week before I filmed this, and it had like smudges on the back. I don't even know from what or how, but there they were. So it wasn't even pristine by the time I was going to film this video. One thing that's really nice is that you still get wireless charging with this case, and that's great because it's convenient. I can just set it down on the 12 South base station charger that I've got on my desk and get to work and still see the screen, and it's charging. So that's very cool. Although, if you use the 18-watt charger that comes with your phone, then that will charge your phone up first and then charge the case, which I know some people are definitely going to care about and prefer. Now, the iPhone 11 is a light phone. It's not very heavy, and that has to do with the casing and the materials. It's a nice light phone. The iPhone 11 Pro, just by nature, and its casing and materials is heavier. And whether you like that or not, it matters in this conversation because I would prefer having the battery case on my iPhone 11 Pro, not the Max, just the Pro, the smaller one, because it's more tolerable. Fits in your pocket a little bit better because it's smaller, but still packs a punch with its triple camera system. That's a pretty good setup, I think, the iPhone 11 Pro with this smart battery case with the shutter button. The iPhone 11 though, because it's bigger, I don't really care about the weight. That's where it takes up a lot of space, is with this case attached. So just something to think about, but I would prefer the weight of the iPhone 11 Pro, even though it's heavier than the iPhone 11, with this case because they're smaller together. Now, $129, that's not cheap. This is an expensive accessory, and if you like official Apple things, maybe it's worth it to you. There are a few alternatives out there. One of them is the Mophie Juice Pack Access, which will save you about $50. It's a little bit slimmer, and it does have an on and off switch, which some people are definitely gonna like. Or you could also consider checking out today's sponsor. Our sponsor today is the EXO Juice Card Power Bank, which is now available to back on Indiegogo. This wireless magnetic power bank is super cool, and it lets you take an extra 5,000 milliamp hours worth of battery power with you on the go, but because it's magnetic, you can choose when to attach it to your phone and when to keep it off. At a nice and thin 10.5 millimeters, it's definitely not as bulky as other external battery solutions, and because it's universal, it works with existing cases. Thanks to pass-through charging, you can charge your Juice Card and your iPhone simultaneously overnight, which is definitely convenient, and you can even charge two devices at the same time, one wirelessly and one via the charging port. The EXO Juice Card gives you so much. It gives you quick charging, you can use it with a magnetic car vent clip, and it works with any wirelessly charging phone. So you can share it with your family and friends. I definitely recommend checking this out using the link down in the description. Okay, so we're gonna get into the Q&A here in just a second, but let me first give you some recommendations, like who should buy this. If you're a traveler, it's a no-brainer. It's something that you might wanna check out. If you're somebody who takes a lot of photos, especially if you have kids or something, you need to take a picture really quick before it's over, this is great because of that shutter button. Or if you're somebody who takes a lot of selfies or group selfies, this is great for you. If you're like a social media influencer or any kind of power user, you could be like a real estate professional or something. You're taking a lot of photos and you don't want to run out of power. This is such a powerful, useful, great combination. And let's be honest, I mean, the hump on the back, it's not ideal. It doesn't look amazing. It's not gonna win any design awards, but it's not that bad. And for what it does now, especially with the shutter button, it's totally usable. All right, Q&A time, and question number one is, will this case help save your battery from degrading, your internal iPhone battery from degrading over time? Now, I actually asked Apple about this, and Their answer was that it kind of depends. There's so many factors that go into the life of your battery. How are you using your phone? How are you using the case? Temperature. I mean, there's literally like probably hundreds or thousands of factors that could go into one individual's unique use of a battery. I would guess overall, though, that it probably would, because the way that Apple sends power to your phone from the case or not, it's all happening in the background. You don't have any control over it. And I guess that should be one of the benefits of using this over one that you can just turn it on or off whenever you feel like it or think you need it, is that Apple should be managing all that power for you. And I would guess, I would feel pretty comfortable thinking or saying that over the long run, it could help your battery life. Again, I can't say definitively because everybody's use case is going to be so different and there's so many factors that go into how your battery discharges. So another question is this the perfect concert or festival case? Well, here's the thing. If you're taking a lot of photo and video content, you want to remember the concert or the festival, it's great for that. It's great for anything that is going to have photos involved where you don't want to miss the moment, so you don't want to run out of power. It is good for that. But the one thing I'll say is that while the outside, the silicone, it's comfy, it's soft, it's nice, I think some people could find it a little bit slippery. So let's say you're like jostling around with a bunch of people out in the crowd, then maybe it could be a little bit hard to hang on to. That's just a guess. I wouldn't call this the grippiest case in the world. At the same time, would I take it to the concert and get some awesome photos and footage? I think I would, yeah. I wouldn't be like too worried. I would just say it's a little bit slipperier than some cases out there. And that might be the one consideration. The next question is, how many extra hours do you actually get when you're using this? Okay, so I threw out that 50% number that Apple gave us. 50% more power comes with you when you have the smart battery case installed. So let's put that into hours, like this person said. I think I'm getting maybe in the 26, 27, 28 hours of use range with this on, and that varies like wildly, but I'm a pretty heavy iPhone user. Like I use it all the time. I do have 2 iPhones and I'm using them constantly. So if I was only using one, then maybe I'd be getting less even than that. But it could vary by like 3 or 4 hours, from day to day, depending on how but I would say that's a pretty decent estimate, somewhere in the upper 20s worth of hours per charge. All right, somebody says, is the shutter button that much faster than using the on-screen shortcut? I think it actually is significantly faster. I mean, we're ultimately talking about like seconds here, like a matter of seconds. But think about it. If you are going to use the on-screen, the lock screen shortcut, you have to take your phone out and look at it, really, because there's nothing to like tell you where to press. So you got to take it out, look at it, deep press into it, and then come up here and line up your shot and then take the shot. As an alternative, with this case installed, you can actually just raise it and just feel around with your finger, and even vertically too, horizontal or vertical, and get the shot. I think it really actually is significantly faster to use this case with the shutter button, honestly. Somebody says they're honestly wondering if it's even worth it to get this for the iPhone 11 if all they really do is watch YouTube and play mobile games. It's funny because in my mind, I actually would say that's one of the big use cases is when you're watching content, and especially if you're a mobile gamer. If you're really into Apple Arcade or really any game on the iPhone, I would say this might be one of the first accessories that you would want to pick up. Because gaming in particular, that can really drain your battery faster than just about anything else out there. So yeah, and then if you combine that with like if you're traveling or something, you're on a plane and you're gaming and you're watching a lot of content, then I would actually come at it from the reverse angle. Why wouldn't you want to have it? Almost, you know what I mean? Another question is, what's the most annoying thing or worst thing about this case? I've already talked about the bulk. I've already talked about the dust that collects. So let me talk about one other thing that I haven't mentioned yet that kind of bugs me. I don't like the bezels. They're really noticeable. And the iPhone, among all the different flagship phones that are coming out, it has still some of the bigger bezels out there. And maybe that's going to change, with the iPhone 12, I don't know. But when you add the bezels, it almost like doubles the bezel size on the iPhone 11 anyways. And I don't like that because it already feels bulky, but when it looks bulky too, it just feels old to me, kind of, when it adds to the bezel size. It makes the phone not feel as fresh and current and as updated and fast and sleek as it actually is underneath if you had no case on at all. And so, especially for somebody like me coming from, you have to understand, I really like ultra minimal thin cases. Made several videos about it. You should go watch that before you make a case decision, just in case. But something like the Totally case or the Peel case, which I'll link up down below, that's what I'm kind of coming from. Those are like my default cases, and those are ultra thin. So then to go from that, which is almost like holding the iPhone all by itself, to this with the really thick bezels, just looking at the phone is one of the most annoying things with this case on. Because when I look at the phone, I want to be like, wow, this is a cool piece of technology in my hand. Not like, man, this looks clunky. So the bezels. Another question is, what's one thing that I think could be improved about the battery case? There's a lot. Obviously, all the cons that I kind of went through in the video could be addressed. But another thing that I'd really like is like a different color option, or several different color options. Black, white, pink. It's nice. It's very conservative. It's kind of like Apple's thing is keep it simple. But, you know, like a product red kind of thing, that would be different. Some kind of a gray could be sort of cool, like a light gray or space gray, you know what I mean? Just some options to help you personalize it, because you can get some options on your iPhone 11, but then you cover it up with a case and all of a sudden it feels a lot less personalized. And with so many iPhones wandering around out there and iPhone owners, then you kind of lose that personal touch a little bit if you only have a couple options to choose from. So I would love to see a bunch of different colors. And for that matter, I'd also like to see some different textures out there as well, instead of just this soft, really dust-attracting silicone. Another question is, are the buttons easy to press and access, and are the ports also easy to get to? The lightning port on the bottom, super easy to get to, not a big deal at all. Speakers still sound pretty good. I don't really have any complaints about the sound. And anyways, I would probably just end up using AirPods Pro or something anyways paired with it. But the volume, the power, those are nice and clicky. Some cases, they can really make it too hard to press or too easy, and you don't want either of those. This is just about right, the way those press. The one thing that's a little bit trickier is the silencer. That's kind of buried deep down a little bit, and so I gotta sort of like keep a little bit of nail growing on the thumb, like, to get in there. It's not that bad, but you know, that's one thing that's the hardest thing to access probably is the ringer, and it's not like detrimental. It's not a reason to not buy this. Someone says Apple's official case or the Mophie case. What would be my personal choice? That's a good question. I haven't used a Mophie case in quite a while. It's been a while, and I really didn't have anything, I guess, against Mophie from that experience. I guess I tend to like official Apple accessories when I can get them, and I understand like there is a bit of a premium associated with most of Apple's stuff over competition. It tends to be a little bit cheaper, but again, you end up getting some cool features that maybe you don't get otherwise. A really good example is the battery widget. And so I like those little bells and whistles that a lot of people probably don't even care about. But for me, it's usually worth it to go and keep everything officially Apple. So that's my answer. I probably would go with Apple, but not because I don't like the Mophie or the design or the features. It's just I like those little integrations and the bells and whistles. Last question of the day, somebody says, does it show fingerprints? And I've heard other people say that. I've even seen some of the reviews for this round mention something about fingerprints, and I haven't seen that. I think maybe, I guess like a clear fingerprint, I haven't seen that. I have seen maybe like some smudging or something. I don't know if that's from like the oils on my fingers or if that's just from stuff that the silicone's attracting from just laying it down. I really don't know. So it does attract stuff is all I can say. I haven't seen like a clear fingerprint, you know, like you would see on the back of just the iPhone by itself. I haven't seen that, but I have seen a little bit of smudging maybe. And even then, like on the black, it's very hard to see. Like you got to be looking for it. It doesn't stick out as much as like the dust and everything that actually sticks to it. On the white, I don't think I really see fingerprint or smudgy type stuff. I just see other stuff that gets attracted to it. I don't even know what. Just it can get easily a little bit more dirty, the white. All right, that's it for this video. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure to check out the links in the description because I definitely want you guys to check out the podcast, the Dailytekk After Party. You can search for it or hit the link down below. Always talking about interesting stuff there. If you like Apple, it's a must listen, if I do say so myself. Also, we've been putting a lot of work into the Instagram page. We're redoing it. It's being a lot more informative now with better content and pictures and stories. So check that out as well. I'm at Dailytekk, spelled Daily Tekk, all over the place. So if you're on Twitter, Instagram, wherever, just search, you'll find it. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Later.